Get ready to live fearlessly free with Heather Bunch.
Do you wrestle with overthinking, overplanning, overeducating yourself when it's really time to step out? Have you ever tanked into one of those emotional spirals of not enoughness faster than you can say, Jesus, take the wheel? Do you push to gain control or run from the issue? Or maybe you wrestle between the two feelings, like you're caught in the middle. What if I told you what feels like failure is actually fear, hiding in the parts of you designed to lead courageously? Welcome to Live Fearlessly Free. I'm your courageous coach, Heather Bunch, and I am here to help you, incredible, beautiful Christian women, entrepreneurs, and solopreneurs, go from feeling stuck, not enough, and fearful to taking focused, confident, and courageous action. We are growing ourselves so we can grow our businesses, ladies. I am excited because we are starting a brand new series called Face the Fear and Find the Freedom. And listen, this isn't just about eliminating fear. Like, I want to remind you, you're not broken and you're not behind. What we're going to do is we're going to actually go into understanding our internal wiring. And we're going to learn how fear is hijacking the system that Father designed to lead you with courage. Because once you know where fear hides, you're going to know exactly how to walk in freedom. So today is going to be for you if you are tired of fear dictating your directions. If you've ever wondered, why do I shut down or speed up or spin out when things get hard? I have got you covered. And if you're ready to uncover how Father designed you to move through fear with Him, this is your day, my friend. You know, I was a bird in a cage with the door open, and I was too afraid to fly out. And I really discovered it when I heard the words, Heather, we're letting you go. There I was in my brother's office, having worked 16 years, helping start a church, and it was time for me to go. And my brother hugged me in that moment, and he said, if I keep you here, I'm going to keep you from what God is calling you to do. You cannot do what God's called you to do here. And you know, the funny thing is, that moment didn't actually have to be. I had been given 2 other opportunities over that last year to explore, is it time for me to step out? I knew in my heart I was called to do this. Speak truth, speak freedom, show women how loved they are, help them discover their identity to light in an intimate relationship with their Heavenly Father, learn how to direct their imagination to work for them instead of against them. And I sat there because I'd been working on this for years, and I would spend those moments. I mean, when I say moments, they would give me like a month to sit with it, to pray, to go to Father. God, is this time? Is it time for me to step out? And every single time I would come back, nope, it's not time. It's not time. But in reality, it was fear in disguise. It was disguised as logic. It was disguised as responsibility. It was disguised as staying in my comfort zone. You know, that felt smart to say, you know what, it's just not time yet. But in reality, it was fear showing up and keeping me from stepping out. And so in that moment, my brother had to come in and push me out of the cage. Just like a little fledgling bird, there are mother birds that will, when it's time to fly, will push them out of the nest to get them flying, because why? They're going to stay in their comfy nest forever if you don't. And that was me in that moment, in my comfy little nest. And I was too afraid to step out. And this is the thing, my friends. We all run into this. You know, I still run into this. This is why I teach on fear. Because every day I am confronted with my thoughts, with my emotions, with my actions showing up in all these fearful ways. And so God has really been helping me dig into this topic of fear. And so, my friends, we're going to uncover some really cool stuff about fear, because fear has a pattern, but so does freedom. Fear doesn't just show up one way. It doesn't just show up, oh, I'm shaking in my boots. You know, fear is a master of disguise. And many of us, myself included, don't realize we have default response systems, fear response systems, that have been quietly leading the charge in our life, that have been quietly leading our business decisions, that have quietly been leading our relationship issues. So, what we're going to do is we're going to break down fear. And I want to start with the 3 major fear responses. And then we're going to mix that with the way God has designed us. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. But we got to break down these responses so you can start spotting them in your own life. Because when you can name something, then you can change something. When you can name the fear, then you can change the fear. So, the 3 major fear responses are fight, flight, and freeze. Now, fight says, if I take charge, I'm going to be safe. So this is fear in overdrive. It gets intense. It gets pushy. Maybe a little bossy, huh? And you might even have it show up and you fill your time with busy work to avoid hard stuff. But typically, it's pushing against others. That is how the fight response shows up. You are trying to prove, hey man, I got this. But in reality, what you're really doing is trying to take back control. Flight response. I want to illustrate the flight response in a quick story. There were 2 men in the woods, and there was a bear that was coming down the tree and spots them. And one of the men starts running, and the other one's like, why are you running? You can't outrun the bear. And he's like, I only have to outrun you. Flight says, if I can stay ahead of the fear, I'm going to be okay. All I got to do is outrun somebody else, and I can stay ahead of the fear. But flight doesn't always mean you're moving physically. So it could look like you're packing your calendar so full of other things that are not moving the needle forward in your business that you can't move the needle forward in your business. It could be switching ideas constantly, or just one more course before I get started. But it's running from what we're really called to do. It's running away from the fear, from the issue. It's trying to outrun discomfort, trying to outrun rejection. It's trying to outrun failure. That's our flight response. Now, our freeze response, that says, if I don't move, maybe this will go away. This is the possum response. When a possum sees something, it plays dead. And it thinks, well, if I just play dead and it thinks I'm dead, it's going to go away. That's our freeze. It's like it's a shutdown mode. It's I'm stuck. I don't know. I'll do this later. And it's not because we're lazy. Because I'm going to be honest, this is one of my natural responses, is freeze. It is not because we're lazy. It's because our system believes that not moving is the safest option. So you might feel foggy, checked out, like your mind and body aren't syncing up. And here's what's wild. So the freeze response, it's actually almost like a push me, pull you response. Do y'all remember Dr. Dolittle, and it had the llama that had like two heads, and so it would go this way and then it go that way, and so it's literally pushing against itself and it can't get anywhere. That is the freeze response. So it's this fight between flight and fight response. So you want to take charge. You want to get things done. You want to go against a problem, but you also want to run away. So you're stalled out in the middle. Now, none of these responses make you a bad person. They don't make you bad. What they do is they make you brilliantly wired for survival. They're just survival techniques. But they were never meant to lead your life or your business. These techniques are not serving us. And so we are going to have to uncover how they're working in each of us because they show up different. Now, what I want to do is I want to unpack our creator design. This is going to be the fear disruptor. You see, God has wired us with three powerful systems. And what they do is they help you think, they help you feel, and they help you act. It's literally our three brains. Science has uncovered we have three brains. And no, we're not an alien. We have three brains, and they all work together to communicate with our body and help us do things. So first we have our head. This is our thinking, our physical brain, where our thinking comes from, okay, or where it's happening. We also have our heart. This is like our feeling center. This is the feeling part of us. And then we have our gut. Our gut actually has neurons that make up our third brain. This is our action center, our doing center. And what I love about God, he's so cool. He's such a cool creator because he gave us this pathway of nerves called the vagus nerve. It's actually not one nerve. It's a pathway of nerves that run from our head through our heart and to our gut. And it's a built-in communication highway between our brain, our body, and our gut. And so when fear takes the wheel, those three systems stop cooperating and they start reacting. And they all react in different ways because we've got thinking, feeling, and doing. Now, what I love too about God, when you think about God, God has this blueprint of threes. He has this pattern of threes throughout Scripture. We've got the Trinity. We've got Father, Son, Holy Spirit. 3. We have ourselves. We're spirit, soul, and body. 3s. Even faith, hope, and love. 3s. In 1 Thessalonians 5:23 reminds us, may your whole spirit, soul, and body be preserved complete. So God gave us clues to our operating system, and fear was never supposed to be the software that runs it. And so we're going to uncover how it's working, because if fear is the software that's running it, we're going to run into issues and we're not going to be able to do the thing that God's called us to do. So fear shows up in patterns. Everything shows up in patterns. But the real question is, where is it showing up for you? Because each of us is different. Some of us are going to, it'll show up in our head more. Some of us will show up in our heart more. Some of us will show up in our gut more and our actions. So we're going to break down how fear reacts in each of the three brains, your head, your heart, and your gut, and how to get them back into alignment with courage. And then, over the next few episodes, we're going to break down each of the three brains in even greater detail. So today is going to be more of an overview, and then we're going to break it down even further, so we can get everything working for us instead of against us. Let's start with our head, the thinking brain. This is the logic, the planning, the understanding. And the fear belief here is, if I don't know enough, I'm not safe. So if you are a fighter, if you natural response, you go to fight mode first. This might be overanalyzing. It might be arguing, with others. It could be over-explaining. So you're pushing against, using your thoughts, okay? Flight mode. This could be avoiding decisions. You could keep researching, but your thoughts are running away. It could be the spin of the overthinking, right? Freeze mode. This is the brain fog, okay? This is the spinning. This is the indecision. You're fighting against, you're like, I know what to do, but I don't do it. So you're literally fighting against your thoughts. So one thought it could be going into fight mode. One thought could be going into freeze mode, and they're fighting against one another. And so you freeze, and you're like, I don't know what to think. And so you do nothing. You just get the fog. Okay? Proverbs 3 reminds us, lean not on our own understanding, but in all our ways acknowledge him, and he will direct our paths. So this right here is when our amygdala overload sends the brain into loops. So that's the pattern. Our thoughts are looping, okay, over and over and over. Think of it in business. We could get stuck in strategy mode. We're never launching. We're never ready. But this is where the thoughts have taken over, okay? So this is how it shows up in our head. Next, we have our heart, right? Our heart is the feeling brain. This is where connection happens, identity, emotion. The fear belief with our heart is, if I'm not loved or accepted, I don't belong. So in fight, this might show up like, I've got to prove my worth. I've got to perform. If I'm doing. In fight mode, what it might do is we might just disconnect emotionally. We might go into hiding mode, okay? We're just emotionally running. In freeze, this might be numbing. It could be the spiral into self-doubt. I'm a number. I'm just going to say, it's like I know what to feel, but I don't want to feel it. So let's numb it out. And that's how we're going to deal with the fear. I'll run to a game, and I notice that if I'm doing that, what I'm doing is I'm numbing against the feelings. I don't want to feel the feelings. Okay. I know what they are, but I don't, we're just, whoo. So kind of like the brain fogs it over, the numbing will fog over the heart part and the feelings part. Proverbs 4:23 reminds us, guard our heart above all else, because out of it flows the issues of life. Our limbic system actually tags our fear with emotions. So this is where our brain will actually connect to our heart, and we can feel the feelings. Now in business, this could show up like people pleasing. It could show up like you're undercharging what you're worth. You might second guess everything, okay? But it also is that place where you could get into over feeling, okay? Somebody wants to give you advice and you take it personal. That can happen to me so easily, where I want to do a great job. I want to get it right the first time. And so correction to me, if I'm not careful, I will take it personal, and it will take me down this emotional spiral of not enoughness. So this is very important that we realize this is our heart over feeling. And that's how fear shows up, in this over feeling. And then next we have our gut. This is our action brain. This is instinct. This is doing. This is going to protection mode. Fear says, if I'm not in control, I'm not safe. This is the doing part of the fear. So, fight. This is the bulldozer. This could be the overworker. This could be, I'm going to force the outcome, right? You just go right in and you do the thing, and it's fire, ready, aim. Have you ever run into those kind of people? This is not a natural response for me, but I have worked for those people, let me tell you. It's very uncomfortable to me, but you might be one of those kind of people. You might be. If somebody has ever called you a bulldozer, this could be the response. And what you're really doing is you're like, I am going to get control of the situation, and then it's all going to be okay. But it's really a fear response. Flight. Busy work. I'm going to run into busy work. I'm going to run away from conflict. I'm going to pivot often. You're doing this thing and then that thing, and I got this idea and I'm going to run over here, right? And you're doing, but you're not doing the right thing. You are running from the right thing. So you're taking a lot of action, but not the right action. Now, freeze mode, that's a total shutdown. That is stuck and checked out. That is, you start to sit at your desk and you're like, I'm just going to go hang out and we're going to watch the next episode of Ted Lasso. Although my husband and I were on a Murdoch mystery kick. So that's, but I don't watch it without him. So that's probably good, because again, I tend to be a flight or a freeze. Now, Ephesians 6:14 reminds us, stand firm, therefore, having gird your loins with truth. Elements of the armor of God that he tells us. We have got to gird our loins with truth. We have got to expose, are the actions we're taking what we're supposed to be doing, or is it really our fear responses? Science will tell us 90% of gut messages go up to our brain, and then fear moves us faster. We just get into this quicken action mode. But that is not always where we need to be and what we need to be doing. When you think about your business, this could be you're in the hustle. Got to hustle. Get it done. I got to take control. I got to do the things. I got to put the posts out. And then you're pushing. Maybe you're pushing customers, that you're DMing everybody and causing, a ruckus where people are like, I just don't even. And they're like blocking you because you're pushing so hard. It could be burnout. That you're just doing so much, you could burn yourself out. You could be in the hide cycle. You're avoiding the hard conversations. How does it show up for you in business? So remember, we have got 3 incredible brains that God has given us. And fear shows up in different ways. It hides itself in different ways in fight, flight, and freeze. And depending on if it's hitting, if in the thinking part, in the feeling part, in the action part, it can show up in different ways. Now, each of us tends to go to one dominant. We might be dominant thinking. We might be dominant feeling. We might be dominant action. Okay. And usually we'll have one that's like repressed. We're like, I don't want to feel that. I'm just not going to think about that. Or for me, I'm actually gut dominant, but what's fascinating about mine is I am gut dominant, but because I go into freeze mode, I have so much conflict. I know what to do, and then I don't do it. And that's when I know I am in fear, when I know what to do and I'm not doing it. And so when you start to understand, how does fear show up? Is it in my thinking, in my feeling, in my actions? Is it fight? Is it flight? Is it freeze? How does it show up? When we know and name it, now we can change it. We're created with 3 brilliant brains. Let's recap real quick. God designed these centers: head to think, heart to feel, and gut to ask. And each one is good. Each one has a voice. Each one is meant to help you live fearlessly and take courageous action. But when fear is leading, those voices get distorted. So again, your head, it might spin in loops. It might try to find the logical way to safety. Your heart, it could get stuck in questioning your worth and seeking acceptance, trying to be, I gotta be authentic. But then you're not really being authentic because you're trying so hard. It might be in your gut, in your actions. Either it's in overdrive, it could be in shutdown and run away, but it's believing that these actions are going to give you control somehow. You don't need to shame yourself over these patterns. You just need to recognize them. Again, just name them, because when you can name, you can change. The truth is, you are not just wired for survival, my friend. People will talk about your monkey brain, your lizard brain. God didn't make you a monkey brain or a lizard brain. Okay? He made you a perfect, incredible masterpiece. And you are wired for freedom. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. And courage is in your design. But the first thing we have to do is name where the fear shows up. And then we can start having freedom from this fear and start taking courageous action. We're going to get into that in the next several episodes. But first, courageous action. All right, so we're going to do the fear tracker. So what I want you to do is I want you to pause when fear shows up, okay? And I want you to ask yourself 2 questions. 1, is this fight, flight, or freeze? And number 2, where is it landing? Is the fear in my head, where I'm thinking, in the thinking thoughts? Is fear in my heart? I'm just feeling it. The emotions are going crazy. Or is it in your gut? I'm taking action, or I'm not taking action. That inaction. Where is it showing up? Okay? And then I want you to journal what you discover. And once you journal it, I want you to go to Father. And I want you to say, Father, what is the truth that you want me to believe? Then believe that truth. Whatever he tells you, start to speak that. That's your new name to call yourself. Now, I want you to declare with me, fear does not lead me. I am designed for courage. Fear does not lead me. I am designed for courage. You are designed for courage, my friend. Now, if you want to discover your fear story, like where the heck did this come from? And who are you really? You can grab yourself a copy of Hello Courageous, the Gal's Guide to Delight, Discover, and Direct Your Divine Life. This book is going to help you uncover and heal and rewrite your story from Father's truth. You can go get yourself a copy at hellocourageous.com, or you can go to Amazon. Now, if you head over to hellocourageous.com, I got some special offers for you there. But you can also get yourself, you Prime member, you can go get yourself a copy with some free shipping on Amazon. Now listen, next time we are diving into the head, this brilliant center of logic, of ideas, of insight, of strategy. It is the part of you that dreams big, makes big visions, makes big plans, and man, this is the problem. It problem solves like a boss. Okay? But when fear takes over, that same mind, those same thoughts can spin in loops, freeze up with indecision, stay stuck in prep mode forever. So if you have ever felt like your thoughts are leading you instead of your faith, or like clarity has to come before courage does, you do not want to miss this, my friends. We're going to be breaking down how to renew your thinking, reclaim your peace, and let Father lead your mind, not fear. You have got this, my friend, and Father's got you. So just want to thank you a bunch for listening or for watching. And until next time, live fearlessly free.